Hey, what's up? So today I have a little bit of a different video planned. I'm going to share a typical way that I dress for a ride, incorporating layers and kind of being flexible with that. It was brought up in my comment section and I've had some people reach out to me, and I think it's a great idea to share some of my experience with it. I'm no expert, but I've definitely been riding out in the cold for a lot of years, and I've learned some little tips and tricks along the way. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you, and I will see you in a second. So the first thing I'm going to start with are hands. That's the one thing that a lot of people complain about and a lot of people struggle with. But I think, this is a key to me being able to do this. Is I usually bring 2 pairs of gloves. I have a glove that keeps my hands super warm, and I find that, these gloves may only last me about an hour, and then I'll switch to something like a lighter weight fall winter glove where my hands can breathe and it lets some of that temperature out. So having 2 pairs of gloves is key. So being able to switch between these is sometimes critical when it gets cold. You don't want a lot of moisture building up. You have to stop and fix a flat or something. You want to be able to get rid of as much of that condensation that's on your body as possible. So 2 gloves, that's my recommendation. The next point that I'm going to cover is feet. Feet get cold on people really quick. Stuffing your feet into shoes where your toes can't move, keeping circulation and keeping wool against your skin, at least for me, is critical. So I usually do a good wool sock. I find these at Sierra Trading Post, different places online. If you take care of your socks, they'll last years. And I have this pair, they're 0.6. It's probably my favorite sock. They're kind of hard to find, but I think I paid $9 for these socks because they're my favorite color on sale. So kind of critical piece, but take care of your socks. Don't throw them in the dryer, wash them, air dry them. And the other thing that really saves my socks and keeps them nice over the years is I take them off after I ride. I don't walk around my house in them. For years I would get my wool socks would just get crushed. And keeping them in a shoe when you're using them keeps them from getting that wear. So take care of your wool socks, find them cheap. There's lots of deals out there, just hunt them down. These are probably the ugliest socks I own, and they're my favorite. So I love good socks, find deals on them, and utilize them for cycling. So next, I'm gonna go over boots. A dedicated cycling shoe is kind of key to riding in the winter, especially if you're running SPDs. Just having a boot that you can keep your feet warm and dry is key. This is a fall weight boot. It says 30 degrees, but I'm usually get good down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is my fall weight boot, and sometimes I'll utilize a carbon pack with those. I'll just take the carbon pack and put it on the inside of my ankle where that artery is, and it feeds warm blood into my foot. So good carbon is a good tool to use. You can also put it on the top of your foot. It has a tendency to breathe a little better, just depending on how tight your shoe is. The next thing, I just picked up a little bit of a splurge item, but I'm excited to try them. I've wanted them for years. They were on sale at the 45 North site. They're these Wolf Hammer boots. They run a little small, so size up with them, but I haven't tried them, so I don't know, but they're keeping my feet warm in the house, testing them out. So good boots. Don't underestimate the investment of a boot. Next is your head. Head is kind of one of those spots that, for me at least, it stays pretty warm. Once I get moving, unless the wind's really beating on me. I usually use this double layered merino wool greasy cap from 45 North. Right now you can get these on sale for like $15 or $16. So it's super nice to have and really keeps your head warm and breathing in the winter. The other nice feature is these little ear flaps. If you use headphones, you can kind of like pull these down and it keeps the wind off your headphones and you can hear your music. So a greasy cap is one of the hats that I usually reach for. But when it gets a little colder, I did need something that kind of had some wind protection. So they have this, I think it's called a stovepipe hat. And this was also on sale, and I just picked this up and I did my ride on Saturday with it, and it's really nice. It's got a little hole for your glasses so you can go through, and you know, it looks like a double layer, maybe it's single layer merino, but it has this wind protection that really keeps the wind from freezing your sinus passages and keeping the wind out of your head and hair. So good hat, love it. It's going to be a tool that I'll use all winter. The other thing that I usually like is something around my neck, just to kind of like block the wind. And it's also really versatile to have a handkerchief with you on a ride. You know, you never know when you might have an extremely runny nose, or you might need to stop and change flat and you have to wipe your hands off. But having a dedicated handkerchief is super nice, but I also really like it because it kind of blocks some of the wind around your neck, keeping that wind from blowing down inside your shirt. So this is really nice, especially with a coat, because you can kind of put the lower part of the handkerchief inside. So kind of a key for me. I love them. So handkerchief. Another thing that I use in the winter are scarves. You know, this one is actually made by Surly. Surly had these out years ago, and I really ended up liking them. I have 2 of them, but just being able to put a scarf on in the winter when it gets really cold allows you to have the flexibility to keep the wind out of your neck and around your chin, and you can even pull it up. So scarves are pretty versatile on the bike. And you can find them in the women's section. Go to TJ Maxx and look around women's scarves. Sometimes they have merino wool in there for $10, $12. So good piece of wool, nice to have. A scarf, who'd have thought? Your core. Everywhere I have points of contact with my body, I use merino wool. You know, a merino wool t-shirt, merino wool Smartwool underwear. I use Brooks saddles, so I don't use the chamois. So, you know, your mileage may vary on whether you use the chamois or not, but I think they even make merino wool chamois. But, you know, where it's touching my core, I use wool. And then I go cheap on thermals. So on a day like today that is below 25, I use a cheap pair of plastic thermals. You know, they've gotten pretty good at making them lofted and fleece lined. So I use these Spider from Sierra Trading Post, and I think I paid like maybe 18 bucks for them. I have like 1 pair of these and I just keep them washed. So a thermal layer. Next on my legs, I use, these are like my favorite pants. These Wrangler outdoor pants that you can get at Walmart for like 19 bucks. Great pant. I love that it has belt loops. It has lots of pockets to put things in. Has a place to put my pocket knife. I always carry a knife with me. It's super nice to have. So these pants are kind of clutch for me. And then when I want to roll them up and keep them out of there, you know, they roll up nice and thin. So you can kind of just adjust the layer or adjust the length with a roll. So they're not exactly the best looking, but you know, they really do, and they really do make do in a pinch. So over the years, I've probably gone through 5 pairs of these, but they used to be 19 bucks. I think they're maybe like $22, but great item. Wrangler outdoor pant. Next is my chest and arms. I utilize long sleeve merino wool, kind of like a raglan wool. You can get these at Sierra. Smartwool makes one that's usually at Sierra. You can get them on sale for like 30 bucks, but these will last forever. You'll get holes in them, they'll look ugly, but they'll start to just become part of your everyday equipment when you ride in the winter. So merino wool raglan long sleeve base layer. These are key. And then I'll kind of also do a thicker layer of merino. So this is a jacket from Surly, but I also have a couple of Smartwool pieces that I use, but using this over top of that base layer, it gives yourself, a good place to keep your arms warm, and you have a little bit of loft. So I like to stay dry, so I like a lot of airflow, and layering up merino really gives you that flexibility to keep yourself dry and not sweaty. So part of staying dry in the winter is keeping the moisture off, and wool really helps pull the moisture out of your arms and your armpits and your chest. So investing in these two pieces is key to getting through the winter. Over top of that merino wool, sometimes I'll do a vest. This is a Smartwool vest. I think I paid $60 for it. I think they're like $200. I get these, you can get these at Sierra also, but it has a merino wool back and it has a little wind protection. So I'll use this over top of my merino wool layers, and it's really nice for being able to just unzip it to let some air in or zip it back up to stay warm. Very versatile piece of equipment, and I like having pockets, and it has pockets on it. So nice vest is good for airflow and keeping your arms open and breathing. So next, I call these shelters, basically. Having a coat as a backup. You get somewhere, you want to stop and have a beer, or you need to change a flat. Having someplace to keep your heat in is key. And carrying a puffy, they pack up nice. You can stay warm in them. In a pinch, you can walk home if you need to walk home. But having a shelter or a coat is key on cold days. And this would be like just kind of like nice wind protection, also rain protection. And you put this on, you're gonna maintain your heat. So you stop, having something to put on like this really helps in emergencies especially. So super key, carry a coat. No matter what the weather is, if it's cold out, carry a coat. Hey, so I hope these little tips help you. This is just my personal opinion. Everybody's temperatures are different. These are just little things that I've found over the years that have really helped me stay moving through the winter and enjoy winter cycling. Part of my motivation for doing these videos is to motivate people to do different things on the bike. Cycling isn't about racing or competitiveness to me. It's more about experiences and places you go. So there's a lot of good places to go in the winter, so hopefully this inspires you to do some winter cycling and stay motivated through the winter. So take care, and thanks for watching.